to rationalize the source of my beauty. If I was mixed, it would all make sense. I was told that I shouldn't work for publications like Essence and Ebonee magazine because if I got labeled an urban model, fashion would close its doors to me. Although I am black, to be labeled black is to be stripped of value and pigeonholed into a world of subsidiary work. I had my face painted gray by makeup artists who were reluctant to even touch my skin, and I had my hair burnt and ripped from my scalp to the point where I had to cut it off and start over. Should I speak up and protest, I was immediately knocked back down into my place. Another angry black girl, they'd assume, to which there was no response. How do you counter a stereotype so embedded in the collective American psyche that it's the first response whenever a black girl has a differing opinion? When I didn't have the stature in the industry that I have now, I was afraid to speak up because I didn't want to get marked as difficult to work with. My livelihood was on the line, so I had to shut up and take it. I was told that I shouldn't complain because at least I was working, which was rare for a black girl, and there are 100 other black girls waiting to take my place. I was the token one who made it in the door while it remained closed for all others. I had to live within the confines of trite stereotypes that compressed me into a tiny box. I felt completely powerless. I felt like everything had been taken away from me. My identity, my autonomy, my ability to stand up for myself, and any sense of who I was before I got into the industry. It had all been taken away. But that all changed last summer when Alton Sterling was murdered by police. I went home and wrote a letter to the fashion industry, emphasizing the duty that media has to help change the perception of black people. No longer could I remain silent. It is the same lack of value for black lives which causes black models to be excluded from the fashion industry and also causes black men and women to be gunned down in the street. That same day, my first Calvin Klein campaign came out, and there I stood, photographed with my nostrils wide and my hair defying gravity in all of its natural glory. I wrote about how proud I was to create imagery that represented a new kind of beauty. After reading my letter, the chief marketing director of Calvin Klein brought me back for another shoot, walked up to me as I was getting my makeup done, and told me that her two biracial daughters read my letter and they felt so beautiful and so proud. I was moved and immediately brought to tears. Every day I receive messages from young women of color via social media thanking me for representing what they've been so desperately waiting to see. Someone who looks like them. For them, I represent hope. I represent the proof that they can follow their dreams despite what they've been told, and they can feel beautiful and comfortable with who they are, free of insecurity. Despite the grave injustices we face as black women, we can and have and will continue to rise out of the ashes and become examples of resilience, drive, and excellence. I like to call this Black Girl Magic. And with this magic, we are creating our own publications. We are creating our own television shows. We are creating our own narrative. So where do we go from here? How do we move forward? Let's start with inclusion. Inclusion doesn't just mean one token black model. I don't want to be hired so I can fill an HR box. I want to be hired for my unique contribution to the industry. Instead of forcing my beauty into your pre-existing box and asking me to change, expand your definition of beauty to be inclusive. Change in the fashion industry isn't just about making it easier for models of color. It's about using our collective voice to reshape the way we think about ourselves and the way we think about one another. It's about raising the self-esteem of our sons and daughters who look to models of examples and who and what they can be. It's about eradicating the phobia surrounding cultures other than our own, which is needed now more than ever. We must examine the historical pretenses that have led us to this place and make conscious efforts to counteract them. The fashion industry does not only reflect beauty standards, it's a reflection of the current state of our democracy. Do not simply say Black Lives Matter. Make a black model the face of your campaign and not just next to or secondary to a white model. Put a model in a hijab on the cover of American Vogue. Put a Latina model on a billboard in Times Square. Make an Asian model your brand ambassador. As creators of media, we have a responsibility to rehumanize the systematically dehumanized. and create a society where each of us can be recognized, represented, and celebrated across the board so we can take pride in who we are and where we come from. Thank you.
Right on. Wow.